The year was 2847. Humanity had traveled among the stars for 300 years. They had met other species. They had joined the Galactic Council. But they were never important. The great powers of the galaxy were the Volani Dominion and the Crescent Alliance. These two empires had existed for thousands of years. They controlled most of known space. They fought wars. They made peace. They treated younger species like children who should be quiet and listen. Humanity was one of these younger species. The Council gave them a small section of space. They allowed them to build colonies and trade ships. But when big decisions were made, humans were told to wait outside. Admiral Una Park had served in the United Earth Fleet for 30 years. She was 53 years old. Her hair was gray at the edges. Her eyes were tired but sharp. She commanded the carrier ship Steadfast and its crew of 4,000 people. The Steadfast patrolled the neutral corridor. This was empty space between the two great empires. Nothing ever happened there. That was the point. Humanity got the boring jobs. Park stood on the bridge and watched the stars through the main window. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Taiho Kim, sat at his station nearby. He was a young man with quick hands and a quicker mind. He had graduated top of his class. Now he spent his days watching empty space. "Anything interesting?" Park asked. She asked this every day. The answer was always the same. "Nothing, Admiral," Kim said. "Same as yesterday. Same as last week." Park nodded. She was about to return to her office when Kim suddenly sat up straight. "Wait," he said. "I have something." A signal. Very weak. Park walked to his station. "What kind of signal?" "Distress call. Coming from Outpost Kira 7. Kim typed quickly on his console. "It is a research station in unclaimed space. About 6 hours from here. Play it." The speakers crackled. A voice came through, broken and afraid. "This is Outpost Kira 7. We need help." They came from the dark. Not Volani. Not Crescent. Something old. Something. The voice cut off. Static filled the bridge. Park felt a cold feeling in her stomach. "Can you reach them?" "No response," Kim said. "The signal is old. Maybe 2 days." Park thought for a moment. Outpost Kira 7 was not in human space. Going there would break several rules. The smart thing was to report the signal and let someone else handle it. But Park had spent 30 years being smart. 30 years following rules. And something about that voice made her decide differently. "Set course for Kira 7, she said. "Maximum speed." Kim looked at her with surprise. "Admiral, that is outside our patrol zone. Command will not be happy." "Command is never happy," Park said. "People might be dying. Move." The Steadfast turned and jumped into fold space. 6 hours later, they arrived at Outpost Kira 7, or what was left of it. The station floated in pieces. Metal twisted in strange shapes. Hull plates torn open like paper. Bodies drifted in the void. Park counted them. 47 researchers had worked at this station. She could see at least 30 bodies. "This was not weapons fire," Kim said quietly. His face was pale. Something tore through them. "Like an animal." "Scan for survivors," Park ordered. The scan took 20 minutes. Finally, Kim found one life sign. Weak but alive. A small escape pod, hiding behind a large piece of debris. They brought the pod aboard. Inside was a woman. She was about 30 years old, with short black hair and glasses that were cracked. She held data storage devices against her chest like they were precious treasure. Her name was Dr. Jisoo Han. She was a scientist who studied ancient alien civilizations. When she woke up in the medical bay, she grabbed Park's arm with surprising strength. "You have to listen," Jisoo said. "We found something." An old signal buried in space. Very old, millions of years old. We thought it was dead, but when we studied it, our equipment made it stronger. We sent it across the galaxy by accident. Sent what? Park asked, a wake-up call. Jisu's eyes were wide with fear. There is something sleeping out there. Something that existed before the Council. Before the Vellani. Before everyone. And we woke it up. Park looked at the data devices. What is on those? Proof, Jisu said. Records from before. Warnings from a civilization that died long ago. They called it the Black Armada. Ships that come from the darkness between galaxies. Ships that destroy everything. Park felt the cold feeling return. Why would they destroy everything? I do not know, Jisu said. Maybe they are cleaning. Maybe they are hungry. Maybe they just do not like company. But the old records are clear. Last time they came, they killed everyone. The whole galaxy. Only a few species survived by hiding. The Council, Park realized. That is why the Council exists. Yes, the survivors built it. They swore to remember. But people forget. It has been millions of years. Most think it is just a story. Jisu coughed. It is not a story. I saw them. Just 3 ships. They came out of nowhere and killed everyone in minutes. I only escaped because I was in the bathroom. Park stood quietly for a long moment. The bridge crew watched her. Kim waited for orders. Finally, Park spoke. We need to warn everyone. Set course for Nexus Prime. We are going to the Council. She looked out at the destroyed station one more time. Somewhere in the darkness, something ancient was waking up. And humanity had just rung the doorbell. The Steadfast jumped into fold space. The silence of the neutral corridor returned. But it would not last for long. The Galactic Council met on Nexus Prime. It was a giant space station at the center of known space. Ships from 47 different species filled the docking bays. Representatives walked through halls made of crystal and metal. For thousands of years, this had been the place where the galaxy made decisions together. Today, the main chamber was full of angry voices that Ambassador Doin Choi stood in the human Choi section. He was 38 years old. His suit was neat. His face was calm. But inside, he was very worried that the Vellani High Speaker stood at one end of the chamber. The Vellani were tall beings with blue skin and 4 arms. They had ruled their empire for 10,000 years. The High Speaker pointed at the Crescent Arbiter across the room. Your people did this, the High Speaker said. You activated some weapon. You destroyed that research station to hide the evidence. The Crescent Arbiter was a being made of light and shadow. The Crescent Alliance was strange and old. They did not like accusations. We did nothing. Perhaps the Vellani are the ones with secrets. Perhaps you woke something dangerous and now blame us. The argument went back and forth. Other species joined in. Everyone blamed everyone else. Nobody listened. Do-hyun held a small device in his hand. Dr. Jisu Han's data. The proof of what really happened. He had tried to speak 3 times. Each time, he was told to wait. Humanity was not important enough to interrupt. Admiral Park watched from the visitor gallery above. She had no voice in this chamber. She could only watch as the galaxy's leaders fought like children. Then the alarm started. Red lights flashed across the chamber. A voice announced that unknown ships had entered the system. The big screen at the front of the room lit up with sensor data. Ships were coming out of fold space. Not 10 ships. Not 100. Thousands of them. They were black. Not painted black. They were so dark that they seemed to eat the light around them. They moved together like one creature with many bodies. The chamber went silent. An old Vellani official stepped forward. His face was white with shock. The archives, he whispered. I have seen these shapes in the Forbidden Archives.
It cannot be. What is it?
Someone asked. The Black Armada, the old official said. They have returned. Do-hyun felt his blood go cold. Jisoo's warning was true. And now it was too late. The council tried to send messages to the black ships. They used every language, every frequency. There was no answer. The ships simply moved forward, closer to Nexus Prime. The Volani High Speaker made a decision. Mobilize the Grand Fleet, all ships. Protect the station. Within the hour, 12,000 Volani warships formed a wall between the black ships and Nexus Prime. The Crescent Alliance sent their own fleet. 8,000 more vessels. Together, they represented the greatest military force the galaxy had ever assembled. Do-hyun watched from a window. The human fleet was there too. 700 ships. Small compared to the others. But Admiral Park had refused to run. The battle began. The great fleets fired everything they had. Missiles, energy beams, weapons that could destroy moons. The space around the black ships filled with fire and light. When the light faded, the Black Armada was still there, undamaged. Their hulls had absorbed every attack. Then the black ships fired back. Beams of darkness shot from their weapons. Ships did not explode when hit. They simply stopped existing. One moment a Volani cruiser was there. The next moment, empty space. The battle lasted 6 hours. By the end, the combined fleets were broken. Scattered wreckage floated everywhere. Millions of beings had died. The Black Armada continued forward without pausing. They reached Nexus Prime and began to take it apart, piece by piece. Do-hyun ran through the station. Emergency lights painted everything red. People screamed and pushed toward the escape pods. He found a shuttle bay and climbed aboard a small ship with a group of survivors dot through the window. He watched Nexus Prime burn. The crystal tower shattered. The great chamber where he had stood an hour ago was now fire and death. His communicator buzzed. Admiral Park's voice came through. "Ambassador, are you safe?" "I am on a shuttle," Do-hyun said. "Leaving now." "Good. Meet us at the emergency coordinates." "We need to regroup." "Regroup for what?" Do-hyun asked. "Our fleets are destroyed. The council is dead. What can we possibly do?" There was silence for a moment. Then Park spoke again. "I do not know yet, but humanity does not surrender. Not ever." Park out. The shuttle flew away from the burning station. Behind them, the Black Armada finished its work and began moving again. Always forward. Always destroying Dot in that small shuttle, surrounded by survivors of many species. Do-hyun looked at the data device still in his hand. The ancient warnings. The old records. One sentence stayed in his mind. The old civilization had written it millions of years ago, just before they died. They do not stop. They do not negotiate. They simply erase. And then they move on to the next galaxy. Do-hyun looked at the stars outside. Somewhere out there, the Black Armada was continuing its mission. A mission of destruction that had lasted longer than anyone could imagine. And humanity was now standing in its path. The galaxy was falling apart after the Battle of Nexus Prime. Every species ran home. The Volani pulled back to protect their core worlds. The Crescent Alliance vanished into their territory and closed all borders. 47 species looked at the Black Armada and decided the same thing. Save yourself. Let others die. Some blamed humanity. A small research station had woken the ancient enemy. Human equipment had sent the signal. In the chaos of retreat, this was enough for hatred. Admiral Una Park received her orders on the bridge of the Steadfast. The ship was damaged but still working. Her crew was tired but still alive. The message from Earth Command was simple. Return to Earth. Prepare defensive positions. Protect the homeworld. Park read the orders 3 times. Then she turned off the screen. Lieutenant Commander Taiho Kim looked at her. Admiral, what are your orders? Park did not answer immediately. She walked to the main window and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Black Armada was moving, destroying colonies, killing billions, and every fleet in the galaxy was running away. Call a meeting, Park finally said. Senior staff. My quarters. 1 hour. When the hour came, 4 people sat in Park's small office. Kim was there with his data tablets. Chief Engineer Myri Beek sat in the corner. She was 60 years old, with gray hair tied in a tight bun. She had kept ships running for 40 years. Marine Captain Junho Lee stood by the wall. His face carried scars from many battles. His eyes were hard, but honest. Park looked at each of them. I am going to disobey orders. Nobody looked surprised. Kim nodded slowly. Beek actually smiled. The galaxy is running, Park continued. Every species is going home to hide. But hiding will not work. The Black Armada does not get tired. It does not stop. If we all hide separately, we all die separately. What do you suggest? Lee asked. We fight. Not to win. Not yet. But to show everyone that fighting is possible. Beek leaned forward. I have been studying the sensor data from Nexus Prime. Their hulls are not magic. They adapt. When we hit them with energy weapons, the hull changed to absorb energy. When we used missiles, it changed to deflect solid objects. But adapting takes time. Takes processing power. So if we hit them fast enough, Kim said. From enough directions, Beek finished. We might overwhelm the adaptation. Make them vulnerable for a few seconds. A few seconds might be enough. Lee grunted. That means getting close. Very close? Lots of ships attacking at once. Most of those ships will die. Yes, Park said. They will. But right now, ships are dying anyway. The difference is whether they die running or die fighting. She stood up. I am not ordering anyone to join me. This is not a mission from command. This is my decision. If you want to follow orders and return to Earth, I will not stop you. Nobody moved. Good, Park said. Now we need more ships. She walked to the communication station. For a moment, she hesitated. What she was about to do would make her a criminal. Command would call her a traitor. But some things were more important than rules. She opened a channel. Every frequency. Every human ship, station, and colony in range. This is Admiral Unipark of the U.E. Steadfast. I am speaking to every human who can hear me. The Galactic Council has fallen. The great fleets have been destroyed. Every species in the galaxy is running home to hide and wait for death. I have decided not to do that. She paused to let her words settle. Humanity has always been the underdog. We were late to space. We were small compared to the empires. The galaxy treated us like children. But I remember something about humans. When everything goes wrong, when everyone else gives up, we do not quit. We push back. Her voice grew stronger. I am taking my ship to the Kirin Nebula. I am going to find the Black Armada. And I am going to show them that humanity does not surrender. I am not asking permission. I am not giving orders. I am simply telling you where I will be. Anyone who wants to join me is welcome. She ended the transmission. Kim looked at his screens. Admiral, I am getting responses. How many? Many. Very many. Ships are changing course. Military vessels. Armed freighters. Mining ships. Even some passenger liners with weapons attached. He looked up with wonder on his face. They are coming. Over the next 3 days, ships arrived at the meeting point. They came from every corner of human space. Some were powerful warships. Others were old transport ships with mining lasers welded to the hull. The crews were soldiers and scientists, traders and engineers, young and old. When the count finished, Park had 2,300 ships under her command. The largest human fleet in history. Every ship had volunteered. Ambassador Do-Yoon Choi arrived on one of the last transports. He found Park on the bridge of the Steadfast. "Ambassador," Park said, "I thought you would return to Earth." "Earth sent me here," Choi said. "Officially, they cannot support you. Unofficially, they told me to help however I can." "What can a diplomat do in a battle?" Choi smiled. "Talk. While you fight, I will send messages to every species in the galaxy. I will show them what humanity is doing. Maybe some will find their courage again." Park nodded. It was a good plan. She turned to face her fleet on the main screen. 2,300 ships. Thousands of humans ready to fight against impossible odds. "All ships," she announced, "set course for the Kiran Nebula. We have a war to start." The fleet moved as one. Toward the enemy. Toward the darkness. Toward whatever came next. The Kiran Nebula was a cloud of gas and dust that stretched across light years. Inside, electromagnetic storms made sensors useless. Ships could hide there. Ships could also die there if they were not careful. Admiral Park was counting on both. The human fleet waited inside the nebula. 2,300 ships floating in the colorful fog. The gas was purple and gold. Lightning flashed in the distance. It would have been beautiful if everyone was not so scared. Lieutenant Commander Tae-ho Kim had not slept in 3 days. He sat at his station with screens full of numbers and patterns. He was designing attack formations. But these were not normal formations. These were chaos. "The key is unpredictability," he explained to Park. "Their systems adapt to patterns. So we give them no patterns. Every ship attacks differently. Every angle is random. We move like insects, not soldiers." Park studied the plans. "This will be very hard to coordinate." "Impossible to coordinate," Kim agreed. "That is why every captain must make their own decisions. We give them the target. They choose how to attack." It was insane. Every military rule said formations were important. Discipline won battles. But every military rule had failed at Nexus Prime. "Do it," Park said. Chief Engineer Beak had another surprise. She gathered the fleet's engineers on a video call and shared blueprints she had created. "Standard weapons will not hurt them quickly enough," Beak said. "But I noticed something. Their adaptive hulls take a second to change. If we overload them with multiple types of damage at once, we create a window. 1 second, maybe 2. What kind of damage?" Someone asked. "Everything. Energy weapons. Kinetic weapons. Radiation. Heat. Cold. Hit them with all of it at the same moment. The hull cannot adapt to everything at once. It will have to choose. And whatever it does not choose will hurt it." Ships across the fleet began modifying their weapons. Mining lasers were turned to maximum power. Cargo ships loaded their holds with explosives. Even passenger liners found ways to help, loading escape pods with bombs and launching them at enemies. Then the Black Armada arrived. They came out of fold space at the edge of the nebula. Thousands of dark shapes against the stars. They did not pause or scan. They simply moved forward into the gas cloud. Park watched them come. Her heart was beating fast. Her hands were steady. "All ships," she said. "Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Today, we show the galaxy that the darkness can bleed. Attack." The human fleet exploded into motion. It was chaos. Beautiful, terrible chaos. Small destroyers dove between giant black warships. Cargo haulers flew straight at enemy guns. Mining ships used their lasers to cut through hull plates. Everything happened at once, from every direction, with no pattern or order. The Black Armada tried to respond. Their adaptive hulls shifted and changed. But Beak was right. They could not adapt to everything. When they blocked energy weapons, missiles got through. When they stopped missiles, radiation beams burned their sensors. Marine Captain Junho Lee commanded the boarding teams. Transport ships raced toward the enemy, dodging fire, crashing into black holes. Marines in heavy armor cut their way inside. Inside the black ships, they found no aliens. No pilots, only machines. Massive computer cores running programs older than Earth, processing systems that had been thinking the same thoughts for millions of years. Sergeant Sujin An led her squad through dark corridors. Everything was metal and shadow. The walls seemed to move. Some of her soldiers were scared. She did not blame them. Plant the charges, she ordered. Every core you find. Then we leave. They worked fast. Explosives attached to ancient machines. The enemy ship tried to stop them. Defense systems activated. Robots appeared in the halls. An lost 3 soldiers in the first minute. Then 5 more. She watched friends die and kept moving. There was no time for grief. Charges set, her demolitions expert reported. We have 90 seconds. They ran. Back through the corridors. Back to the transport. Some did not make it, and did not look back. The transport launched just as the charges exploded. The black ship broke apart from inside. Metal twisted and fire bloomed in the void. It was the first Black Armada ship destroyed in millions of years. On the Steadfast, the crew cheered. But Park knew the battle was far from over. The Black Armada was adapting, learning. They had never fought an enemy like this. Enemies were supposed to be organized, predictable. Humanity was neither, but adaptation was coming. The black ships were getting faster, smarter. Human ships began dying in larger numbers. The Steadfast took a direct hit. Alarms screamed. Beak cursed and ran to the engine room, holding broken systems together with emergency repairs and pure stubbornness. Hull breach on Deck 7, Kim reported. We have lost contact with the port weapons array. Keep firing, Park ordered. Everything we have. Then something changed. New contacts appeared on sensors. Ships coming out of fold space. But not black ships. Blue hulls. The Villani, shadow and light. The Crescent Alliance. Other colors. Other species. Dozens of them. Ambassador Choi's voice came over the communication channel. Dozens of them. Ambassador Choi's voice came over the communication channel. He sounded exhausted but happy. Admiral, it seems your message was received. The galaxy is watching. And some of them decided to stop running. The new fleets hit the Black Armada from behind. Fresh ships, fresh weapons, fresh anger. The enemy formation, already struggling with human chaos, began to collapse. Park allowed herself one small smile. All ships, she announced. We have friends now. Let us finish this together. The combined fleet tore into the Black Armada. Ship after ship fell to the coordinated attacks. The adaptive hulls, overwhelmed by too many different weapons from too many directions, failed completely. By the time the battle ended, the Black Armada vanguard was destroyed. Thousands of dark ships reduced to floating debris. Humanity had lost over 1,000 ships. Tens of thousands of lives. The cost was terrible, but they had won. The battle was over, but Admiral Park could not rest. She stood on the bridge of the damaged, steadfast, and watched the debris field through the window. Broken ships everywhere. Some human, some alien, some black. The Kiran Nebula glowed around them like a funeral shroud. Something was wrong. She felt it in her bones. "Kim," she said. "The enemy ships that survived. Where did they go?"
Lieutenant Commander Kim checked his screens.
His face grew pale.
"They retreated, Admiral. But not randomly. They are all moving to the same point. Outside the nebula. Very specific coordinates. Show me."
The main screen changed to show a star map.
The surviving Black Armada ships were converging on a point in empty space. Nothing was there. No planet, no station.
Just darkness. Doctor Jisuhan had been working in the science bay throughout the battle. Now, she ran onto the bridge, her face filled with fear.
"Admiral, I found something in the data."
Something I missed before.
She connected her tablet to the main screen. Numbers and diagrams appeared.
The ships we fought were not the main fleet. They were scouts.
A vanguard.
Their job was to find threats and test defenses.
Park felt cold.
And if the scouts fail, they send a signal. A wake-up call. Jisu pointed at the coordinates where the enemy ships were gathering. "There is something sleeping there. Something much bigger than what we fought." Kim suddenly straightened in his chair. "Admiral, I am detecting new energy signatures."
The coordinates Dr. Han indicated.
"Something is moving." The screen changed again. Long-range sensors showed the empty point in space. But it was not empty anymore. Shapes were appearing, rising from some kind of hidden dimension. Ships that made the ones they had just fought look small. Structures larger than moons. Dark metal that seemed to swallow all light.
"How many?"
Park asked. Her voice was calm. It had to be. Kim did not answer for a long moment. "Millions," he finally said. "Millions of ships. And they are waking up." The bridge crew stared at the screen in silence. The victory they had just won suddenly felt very small. Ambassador Choi arrived on the bridge. He had been coordinating with the Allied fleets. Now he looked at the sensor data, and his diplomatic mask cracked. "That is not possible," he whispered. "We cannot fight that."
"Not today," Park agreed.
"But not never. This war is just beginning." She turned to face her crew. They were scared. They had every right to be. But they were also looking at her, waiting for guidance. "Listen to me," Park said. "What we did today matters. Before we fought, the galaxy believed the Black Armada could not be stopped. Now they know different. We proved that these machines can break. We showed them how. That knowledge will save trillions of lives." She gestured at the screen. "Yes, there are more coming. Many more. They will take time to arrive. Years, maybe decades. We will use that time. We will build. We will prepare. We will teach every species in the galaxy how to fight like we do." Choi nodded slowly. "The political situation has already changed. Species that ignored humanity for centuries are now asking for alliances. They saw what we did. They want to learn." 2 weeks later, the reformed Galactic Council met. Not on a space station this time. They gathered on a planet deep in protected space. Representatives from 60 species filled the new assembly hall. More than had ever attended before. The Villani High Speaker stood at the front. His blue skin looked tired, but his voice was strong. "We have made many mistakes," he said. "We treated younger species poorly. We forgot the old warnings. We ran when we should have stood together. Today, we begin to correct these errors." He turned to face the human section. "The Council has decided that humanity will receive a permanent seat on the Security Directorate. You have earned this place with blood and courage. We ask that you accept." Ambassador Choi stood. Every eye in the room watched him. "We accept," he said. "But we have conditions." Some of the old council members frowned. Humanity was supposed to be grateful, not demanding. No more forgotten species.
Choi continued. No more minor voices. Everyone at this table or nobody. If we fight together, we stand as equals. The room was silent. Then the Crescent Arbiter spoke. We agree. One by one, every species voted yes. Later, Admiral Park stood on observation deck. Her fleet was being repaired in the shipyards nearby. Captain Lee stood beside her, his arm in a medical wrap. Think we can do it? He asked. When the big fleet arrives? Park watched the stars. Somewhere out there, ancient machines were moving. Millions of ships traveling toward them. A war that would last generations. I do not know, she admitted. But I know this. Today, the universe learned something important about humans. What is that? When we enter a battle, we do not stop until it is finished. She paused. And the Black Armada just learned that they are not the only ones who can wake up angry. Lee smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a soldier who has accepted his fate and decided to meet it standing. So what now, Admiral? Park turned away from the window. Now, we prepare. We have ships to build, soldiers to train, and alliances to strengthen. The enemy gave us time by sleeping so long. We will not waste it. She walked toward the door, then stopped. And Lee? Find Sergeant An. She showed courage on that boarding mission. I want her leading the new Marine training program. Yes, Admiral. Park left the observation deck. Behind her, the stars glittered in the darkness. Cold and ancient and full of secrets dot in the void between galaxies. The true Black Armada continued its journey. Patient, endless, coming. But humanity would be ready. The silence before the storm was over. The war for survival had just begun. And for the first time in millions of years, the darkness had reason to fear the light.